Okay, here we are in Utah again, doing another video shoot on this car here. This is a very special car. This is a 1968 Plymouth Satellite that was owned by a dear friend of mine for 30 years. He passed away a few months ago, and it has become my lot to sell it for the family. This car is, I've actually purchased the car, and I don't have room in the barn for it, unfortunately, because it's got a lot of great history. It's going to be hard to see this go, because the man that built this car and loved this car and cared for this car is he's one of the salt of the earth type of guys that just loved Mopars. In fact, he has business cards that say Mopar Affeccionado, and I don't know what that word means, but he is one. SE Garrick is his name. It's a 68 Satellite. It's a street strip car. He used to bring this car to car shows, street legal, everything works, horns, lights, wipers, perfectly street legal. Thing that's cool about this car is it's a street strip car, and he used it that way. As you can see right now, it's set up with, it's got drag radials on it. Kind of an interesting story. You can see this car was seen every year at Mopars at the Strip down in Las Vegas since 2004 all the way until he passed away. Actually, he didn't have the health 3 years ago to go, so we pulled this out of storage. It's been in storage for 3 years, just barely, and we just swapped all the fuels, the fluids in it, and here you have it. But you can see there's a yellow hood on the car. Kind of an interesting story. Well, right now it doesn't have a yellow hood. It's got a fiberglass black one with a carbon fiber wrap. I think it looks really good. But after he had this new exhaust put on the car, it's an X-pipe exhaust with a side exit exhaust. It's got little bullet mufflers under it. It's street legal, but it's still pretty loud. But it just sounds so good. SE called me up and said, "Dave, you got to come listen to this exhaust." So while we went out on a back road, and you can see, I'm just giving some video here as I talk. We went out on a back road, and he nailed this thing. And I'm not kidding you. This car is so stout. It just went sideways and hooked up, and it launched harder than it never launched in the street car. I mean, I've got a Hellcat that doesn't launch as hard as this, but this has 489 rear gears in it, so it launches really hard. But see this, are you yellow? I'm just gonna keep telling you the story. So as we launch the car, it hits second gear, and it's all hooked up now, and we're doing about 90 miles an hour, and he had forgotten to put the hood pins on the hood. And I've got the pins for this, they're just in the garage. But he forgot to put the hood pins on it, and that hood came off the car. We're doing 100 miles an hour at this point. All I saw was yellow in my face. I'm sitting right here in the passenger seat of the car, and the hood came off the car. It left the hinges. It was a fiberglass hood as well. And by the time we got the car stopped and looked back, that hood went 40 feet in the air. It landed out in a farmer's field. And I'll never forget watching that yellow hood come spiraling out of the sky, and it was destroyed. So that's why it's got this hood on it now. So always remember to put the hood pins in the hood before you go. So back to the car. So SE Garrick was a sponsored driver. He was sponsored by let's see, I'm trying to think of the name of the team. I can't remember the name of the team, but it was Pontiac back in the 50s. And he drove for Pontiac for many years. And in 1959, 1960, and I'll just give you the quote, he says, "The 413 wedge motors from Chrysler were kicking our butts so bad, I had to move over to Chrysler." Literally, they were just getting kicked by the 413. So it was one of his favorite engines. And so this car has a 1961 413 wedge under the hood. I'm going to lift the hood here now. It has a 1961 413, and it's got all the good stuff in it. He's, in fact, he just freshened it up a couple years before he passed away. So about 5 years ago, I think it probably only has maybe 40 passes on it since he freshened it up. But it's a 413 wedge, and it's got a, it's bored and stroked to a 498. It's got 11-to-1 compression, and this car it's so reliable. It starts up every time, and it's just extremely fun to drive. The car goes straight down the road, and at the drag strip, you don't do anything to it. Just swap out the tires, which are the ones it has on it now, and it just really, really hauls the mail. I watched him do a 12.0 dial, a 12.0 time on a 00 light. He was just a really good driver and a really good mechanic. The only thing wrong with the car, and I would replace this header on this side. There's a leak right here, and you can see he tried to weld it, and he was getting on in age when he did that. But if it were me, the only thing I would do to this car would be, I'd call TTI. I'd get a new set of TTI big block headers for this car, and that is the only thing I would do, and I would just enjoy this car. As you can see, all the good parts. You know, it's got the digital 6AL. It's got the, you know, the MSD distributor. As you walk around this car, you'll see that it's beautiful. It's got all the original seat belts are still in the car. It's a full interior car. The headliner is great. It's got one crack right here in the dash, but it's just beautiful. I'm gonna get in here really quick now. Let me just do the trunk really quick. I'm gonna try to keep this video under 10 minutes. I have a tendency to go 30 minutes on these videos. He put this in the back. This is all custom. He put a billet tray in the back, put the batteries right over the right tire where the traction needs to be. Comes with a car cover. I've seen this in his garage for years and years. Really kind of emotional doing this video because he's such a good guy. But anyway, all original metal, original fenders, original floors, original trunk pan. It's just a nice old car, right? It's got doesn't have a lot of rust issues. I don't think there's any rust on this car, quite frankly. At least there's nothing underneath. I've been under it, over it, on top of it. That's the trunk. Look at that. That's been there for years. Yes, it's fast. No, you can't drive it. And I even left that on there from when last time he ran the car. Let me get in and I'll show you how the gauges work. So down here you have the fans. It has dual fans, dual shroud. This is the fuel. That's the switched fuel pump, but it's just switched with the key hot. So I always just leave that on. That runs the water pump. This turns on the lights, and this arms the line lock. So when you go to drive this car, you just always leave that on because that's the fuel pump. And then you just flip on the water pump and just drive the car. When the temperature comes up to 200 degrees, flip on the fans. It's really simple, very effective. In fact, I'll start it really quick here. It's just the car is serious. And it's just so fun to drive. And anyway, no expense was spared on this one. I don't know, you can clone it to a Roadrunner or do whatever you want with it, but one thing you're not going to need to do is restore it. Because everything on this car, the body lines, it's a full, legal, street legal car that goes like crazy. It, you know, with the gears he's got in it, the 49 gears. It's a 49 case with 49 gears. That's how I remember it. And it's a sure grip. And with those low gears, it crosses the goes through the traps at about 120 miles an hour. It's all tacked out at about 120 miles an hour, something like that. I watched him go 11, I think it was 1150 at 119 or 20 miles an hour. Last time he ran this car, we literally hauled it home from Mopars at the Strip, put it in storage, and it's been in there for 3 years. And the family contacted me after he passed away and asked me if I could sell the car. So that's what we're doing. So the title is, I have a clear title to it, and the asking price is very reasonable. The reserve on this car is, I would say, less than half of what you could build this car for. Really fun car, ready to go right now. Like I said, the only thing I would do to this car would be get a new set of headers for it, because the header on the driver's side, number 5, see 1, 3, 5, 7, number 5 has a leak. It's just the header, and that's all it is. The other thing that I would do, he used to swap tanks on this thing. It's got a 5-gallon custom billet aluminum tank underneath it, and if it were me, I would probably get a factory tank for it and put it back in the car, but that's up to you. This just saves weight. That's why he did it. But it's really a cool setup, and it's got the, it's got the billet aluminum filler neck and cap, and just overall, the car is just really, I mean, pretty much you can make it do what you want. I mean, if you want to turn it into a street car, put the regular, the tank, the sending unit lead is still up there. It's just zip tied up there underneath where the tank goes, so you could put a factory tank in it. In fact, I actually looked into that, and they're only like 130 bucks, but I'd maybe put a factory tank in it, and for sure the header. But other than that, this car is ready to go and be enjoyed by somebody who wants a really awesome car that is completely restored and ready. And actually, it's never been restored. It's just had one paint job done to it. That's Chrysler Viper Yellow. If you have any questions, give me a call. I'm going to give you my phone number. It's area code 801-372-0220. My name is Dave. 801-372-0220. And I live in Utah. I'm trying to show you how nice this body is. I mean, it's just really, just every single panel on it. It's just a really clean B body, and you'd not be disappointed. The undercarriage is clean, rust free. It's got frame connectors welded in, really nice and tastefully done. Anyway, there you go. 1968 Plymouth Satellite with a 413 wedge motor in it, board and stroke to a 498. Runs amazing.